Hello, everyone. This is Chala the CEO and founder of the Repositioning Expert. I'm coming to you live with another Tuesday Tea Time with Chala. It is late here today. It's 4:30 almost, and I've got a new background, and it's temporary. I'm redoing the old one, and this is Logan and I at NASA, where it looks like we're floating in a space capsule, but actually it was just on a green screen and they made us just sort of fold our, get into the uniform and fold our knees together. So it looks so funny. But anyway, that's on my website and it's a couple of years old. So you'll be enjoying that for the next couple of weeks until I can get my new background. So I'm looking for a new inspiration. So let me take a sip. Mm. I have been reading and scouring for what is going to help you guys while the media is full of gloom and doom and the looming recession and anticipated job cuts and spending cuts and everything that can affect you. Now, strangely enough, um, I've been in procurement conferences, I've been talking to businesses, and most of them are still growing. Most of them have not really felt the effects of this at all. And, the businesses that I'm talking to are, of course, not the giants, but I'm talking about, the small businesses that are under 20 million, under 50 million. And so things are still good for them. But if things ever start to become difficult and or you want to reconsider your options and you want to look at re-niching your company, the here is how to do it. And so I thought this is a good time for you to be reassessing how to go into the next year in 2023 while you're doing your plans. So I actually, did a lot of business during COVID because people were looking at reconfiguring, repivoting, and it was just a matter of survival. And maybe in today, post pandemic, it's a little bit easier, but still, you need to know the tactics to stay afloat and to thrive instead of just looking to survive if you want to reap the benefits of some industries that have kept growing despite all the doom and gloom and the looming, recession. So here are the industries that are blooming, blossoming, despite all the, indications against it, despite all the the unrest and the upheavals in the market. So this is not going to be a surprise to you. Go to any airport, it's travel and tourism. And why is this still going on like crazy, right? The post pandemic, the lockdowns, the post pandemic revenge travel was epidemic, like it was, you could not get a seat. Even if you did, you were most likely to be, your flight was delayed or canceled. It was just a lot of misery at airports. And so that, and they limited that and they fixed some of that. And now that's reflected into the prices and the higher demand and the less staff and the less resources. It's huge prices, but people still remain very, very interested in traveling. And what, the analysts are thinking is that because in the pandemic, what became apparent was that people are still looking for freedom and fun because they couldn't, right? You take something away. So it's almost like you depress something and then it just blows back up. And so because this travel and tourism was so depressed, it has blown back up and it is not slowing down because of any anticipated recession. So in any way that you can look at, niching in that industry is a good one. Food and restaurant. Now, eating at home, food consumption, that kind of thing, grocery, they went nuts, no pun intended, during the pandemic because people had nowhere else to go and nothing else to do but to do DIY to their home and to keep eating. Like, the COVID 15 is like the 15 pounds that you gained during COVID. So with the post-pandemic phase of now restaurants coming back really strong, even though every restaurant that I've ever been to has a smaller portion size and higher prices, and they themselves are experiencing staff shortages and stock, issues, they are still thriving. So that's another area where people are still expressing, the freedom, and the what's important to them is pleasure and luxuries, and as much as they can, they're going to keep that spend intact within the overall budget cuts. Okay. Number 3 is beauty, cosmetics, and skincare. Now, during any type of when analysts looked at any type of downturn in the market, these industries thrive because they're still affordable luxuries. Like, you don't have to go on a cruise to just buy yourself like a little bit more expensive cream or to look after yourself. So what's important is to look at, and it's like obviously oversaturated, but what are some emerging trends within that segment are environmental is one. So anything to do with sustainability, environmentalism, hyper personalization. So, lipstick shades that match you, skin tones to match your whatever else, your creams. Everything is becoming hyper personalized, and that's what people are asking for. And then the last is the male oriented, so or gender neutral skincare, beauty care, and yeah, so it's like cosmetics, so it's luxury. I mean, I looked at a whole grooming kit for my 13-year-old son, and I was told that it's a little too much for him. But these are like the gift packs for men now. It's crazy. Like the grooming, like he doesn't even have that much hair. He's 13. But that's what's available, and that's the trend. And if you're a business that can skew into that or niche into that, it's a really great way to continue to thrive in a re-emerging economy, or in a shaky recession. So these are mostly B2C ideas. Now, what about the B2B? One thing that keeps coming up with most of my clients for the last couple of months still, despite all, the work that we do, asking questions to decision makers, it's still trying to keep everyone engaged. And now, especially, it's hard with a hybrid workforce. So a lot of my clients are working on addressing that problem of hybrid workforce engagement. And I have clients in more than one industry, so they're hitting it at different ways. But it continues to be a huge problem. So how do you re-niche exactly? Let me take you through that whole thing, and let me take a step. I'm getting like a tickle, and everybody on Zoom is coughing. So I'm hoping that, it's not going to come through the screen to me. As ridiculous as that sounds. So how do you re-niche? Okay, this is the process. I've explained it to you a lot of times, but I'm happy to do it again for those of you who are new to watching this. So first, the process is we blue sky, meaning we write down every single one that we can think of, every single industry or interest group. And again, remember, I want you to pick an industry or an interest group to focus on, because these are where people actually do the heavy lifting for you, and they self-gather by themselves in large numbers. You don't have to do anything other than just to show up at their meeting. You don't have to go to meeting after meeting after meeting or call them one by one to pick people out. These people all hang out together, all have the same issues, all have the same concerns, all have the same language, all know each other, and you can catch them at multiple times because they get together on a regular basis. That's why I want you to pick an industry or an interest group. An interest group is more B2C, but there are B2B interest groups, such as diversity, women-owned, CEO clubs, and B2B. So B2C would be like divorcing women, or women who do yoga, or hockey moms, and these are interests, or foodies. These are people who would hang out by their interests. They would be hanging out in meetup groups. So first step of re-niching is you look at the market as it is, and then you write down every single group that you think you can pursue and all their pain points that you think you can help. Okay. Then you rate their pain. The more the pain, the higher the pain, more the money that you can make. The more expensive the pain, the more relevant your services are going to be. Number 3 is you rate their networks. How many people do they know in those related industries or interest groups? How many decision makers do they have in their natural networks? How easy is it to reach these decision makers within the confines of all the events at the industry? So that's number 3 is rate the networks. Number 4 is shortlist the winning niches. So you're going to have, I mean, when I work with clients, we do a scoring sheet. The top 3 scores pop out, numbers don't lie. And we go and we do number 5, which is we interview the key stakeholders to confirm the pain assumptions. We figure out whether that is a pain point. We figure out if that's the biggest pain point, and then we figure out, what's their buying decision tree. How do they engage? How much do they want? And so on. So we actually check the pulse of the market in that minute, in that second, by talking to key decision makers to see what's happening. Number 6 is then, of course, we take all that data and then we lock down, and no pun intended, lock down the pain language for the messaging. We take, sound bites from the people who we were just talking to right then and there, and then we create our own messaging. And when I say messaging, that's your whole marketing, that's your whole sales language, that's your emails, that's your voicemails, that's your blogs, your keynote titles. It could even be your business name. It's your SEO, you name it. Like, messaging is messaging, right? And final step is you make a marketing plan to penetrate these people where they hang out over and over again, with the message and the visibility around how you can help them. So that's it. That's how you reconfigure your niche. And I encourage clients to do this, at least a couple of years. And, it takes a couple of years to penetrate that industry. That's great. And if it's not moving fast enough, then you need to re-niche again. And I've actually done a Tuesday tea time around when it's time to re-niche. And some of those are the telltale signs as it's not growing fast enough. You're not getting enough referrals. You don't know how to go out and get more clients in those industries, and so on. And one of them is if the market conditions are changing. So you may definitely want to re-niche in something, but these are the strategic steps that you need to do in order to do it well. You can't just throw spaghetti at the wall. You have to figure it out strategically. So I hope that was helpful, everyone. Don't be afraid. Don't ever think about, I never look at the negative that's coming up. I always look at what is the opportunity here, because for everything that goes down, something has to go up. And I never, ever look at the market in fear. I've never, even during COVID, thought about, that this was the end. I always knew that this is the beginning of something. This is the next iteration. So I hope that becomes your next iteration for you, and that you can use these steps to figure out the next step for you. All right, everyone, we'll see you next week. All the best.